All right, welcome to the Explainer. So, Gilead Sciences just dropped its Q3 2025 financials, and honestly, the numbers tell this really fascinating story. It's all about a company that's balancing this absolute powerhouse of a present with a pretty risky bet on the future. Let's break it down.
Okay, to really get a handle on Gilead's third quarter, you've got to start right here, with this quote from their CEO. He's really framing the whole story around future growth and innovation. You know, this is the official line, the big vision. So now, let's see if the actual financial results actually support all that optimism.
All right, first up, let's take a look at Gilead's Q3 report card. What's the big picture for the company right now?
Okay, now before we get into the nitty-gritty numbers, there is one key concept we absolutely have to understand, and that's the base business. This is what all the analysts are looking at. Think of it as the company's core engine, right? It's the revenue from their main products, but, and this is the important part, they strip out the really volatile sales of their COVID treatment, Veklury. Doing that gives us the clearest possible picture of the company's true underlying health.
So, the big question is, how healthy is that base business? Well, it brought in $7.1 billion just this quarter. And even better, that's up a solid 4% compared to last year. That's a really clear signal that the company's core operations are growing steadily.
And what's driving that growth? Well, it's their HIV franchise. That part of the business saw a 4% jump in sales. And look, to be really clear about this, we're not talking about just any old division. This is the absolute heart of the company's business.
And this chart really just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, look at that massive dark blue slice of the pie. That right there? That's the HIV portfolio. It absolutely dwarfs everything else, and it just shows you exactly where the core of Gilead's commercial success really lies.
So that huge business naturally brings us to Gilead's core strength. Let's go inside the engine room, shall we? This is the virology powerhouse.
And leading the charge in this powerhouse are two blockbuster drugs. First, you've got Biktarvy, which is their top HIV treatment. And then there's Descovy, which is used for HIV prevention, also known as PrEP.
And these two are not just holding steady, they are on fire. Biktarvy pulled in $3.7 billion this quarter alone. That's a 6% jump, and it's still the #1 prescribed HIV treatment out there. But then you have Descovy. Its growth is even more explosive. It's up 20% year over year, and it's captured a record market share of over 45% for PrEP in the US. I mean, that is just remarkable traction.
This chart really shows you why investors value this franchise so much. It's all about reliability. I mean, just look at the trend over the last 5 quarters. It is a clear, consistent upward climb. This isn't some fluke. It's a solid pattern of predictable growth.
So here's the crucial point. Having this incredibly stable, multi-billion-dollar revenue stream, it's not just about the profits today. It's the financial engine that gives Gilead the freedom and, frankly, the firepower to invest heavily and to take some big risks in its next wave of innovation. We're talking about really challenging fields, like oncology.
And that brings us right to oncology. This is Gilead's big growth gamble, and it's a story of both promising success and some pretty significant challenges.
And this really is a tale of two therapies. On one side, you've got their breast cancer drug Trodelvy, which is growing at a healthy 7%. But on the other side, their advanced cell therapy unit is down 11%. It is facing some serious competitive headwinds, and that just means other companies are launching rival treatments that are starting to chip away at their sales.
And this chart shows you exactly what that competition looks like in terms of dollars. I mean, after several pretty stable quarters, you can just see that noticeable dip in Q3 2025. That drop in sales is a direct result of those market pressures.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear, right? The big challenge for Gilead is figuring out how to navigate this really tough competitive landscape for its cutting-edge cell therapies, while at the exact same time continuing to nurture the growth of its successful drugs like Trodelvy. It's a very high-stakes balancing act.
Okay, so we've got a dominant core business and a challenging growth area. That brings us to our final section, betting on the future. Where is Gilead placing its chips for the next decade? Well, the answer lies in the pipeline. And this timeline just shows that Gilead isn't sitting still. They have a packed schedule of key milestones right on the horizon. I mean, they've already secured European approval for a new twice-yearly HIV prevention shot. And coming up, we're expecting key data updates for new HIV treatments, new uses for Trodelvy in breast cancer, and even a potential US launch for a next-gen cell therapy in 2026. It's a really busy roadmap. Okay, let's look at one specific example from that pipeline, just to make it real. This is a survival curve for a new cancer therapy called domvanalimab. And you don't need to be a scientist to read it. It's simple. The higher the line stays for longer, the better. And what we see here is that at the 24-month mark, 50% of the patients in the trial were still alive. For a tough-to-treat gastric cancer, that is really promising early data.
And remember that promising data point? It's just one piece of what the company is calling the strongest clinical pipeline in Gilead's history. And this really brings us full circle, doesn't it? This is precisely why the health of that virology business is so critical. Its success is what funds dozens of these high-potential shots on goal.
And all this leaves us with the big question. With a total cash machine in one hand and a portfolio of high-risk bets in the other, what will Gilead's next breakthrough be? Is it going to come from their established strength in HIV? Or from their big gamble in oncology? Or maybe somewhere else entirely? For a company this size, the answer is going to have ripples across the entire industry. Thanks for joining The Explainer.